Yes, I did it! I built my own external SSD. Can't wait to take this little guy for a spin. I mean, access. Hello there. I'm Trisha Hirschberger, and you are watching DIY in 5, the show where we break down tech and make it easily digestible for the everyday user. Today we'll be tackling external SSDs and how you can make one yourself. It can be much simpler and less expensive than you might think. If you find the tips in today's video useful, go ahead and subscribe and you'll be a DIY techspert before you know it. So you need more storage, but don't want to perform open rig surgery. Plus you want something portable. An external drive might be just what you need. External HDDs, traditional hard drive tech, may slow you down to a snail's pace if you're trying to access large quantities of data on a regular basis, say for games or photo-video editing data. Buying an external SSD solves some of the speed issues, but it can be expensive and there aren't that many options out there. The good news is that building your own external SSD is super simple, literally a snap in some cases. See what I did there? And not terribly expensive either. Let's jump to it. First, you need to purchase an M.2 SSD with the right amount of storage to suit your needs. I'll be using this new Kingston SSD, the UV500 model, as an example. Then you need to pick the correct case for your needs. Now, I totally love these specialty modded Lego and SNES cartridge cases, but for today's purposes, let's stick to the basics. The main things you'll want to consider are size and external interface. For size, since we've chosen the smallest SSD available, we'll want a case for M.2 drives. For the external interface, you've got a plethora of options, and these options determine both connectivity and speed. Time to break it down. There are many types of connections available: USB 2.0, 3.0, Firewire, eSATA, Thunderbolt, and so on. Most cases offer more than one type of external interface, and these are usually referred to as universal cases. When deciding on a connection for your case, make sure you know your USBs. USB A, B, and C refer to the type of connection, while USB 2.0, 3.0, and 3.1 refer to the data transfer standard. USB A is what most people think of when they hear the term USB. That familiar, large, rectangular connection, which can only be plugged in one way. That connector has remained the same from USB 1 through 3, which is why it's such a recognizable connector. USB-C, on the other hand, is relatively new, much smaller, and can thankfully be plugged in any way you choose.
That's how it should be.
USB-C also supports faster, newer standards like USB 3.1 and USB power delivery, and many mistakenly confuse the two as synonymous, but they are not. Just because the connector is a USB-C and it's capable of newer standards doesn't mean that it's always taking full advantage of the newest tech. USB 3.1 Gen 1 supports 5 gigabytes per second bandwidth, while USB 3.1 Gen 2 supports 10 gigabytes per second, so there's a pretty big difference. Be sure to check the product description if this is important to you, i.e. if you're trying to build a DIY time machine backup for a new MacBook. You can do this if you use a USB-C connection that has USB 3.1 support. Once you've got your drive and your enclosure, you're ready to begin. We recommend using a clean, bright area and a flat surface. Have a small Phillips head screwdriver and a cup or jar ready to hold any small screws so they don't get lost. First, you'll open up the new SSD enclosure. To remove the panel, you'll either snap or unscrew 2 or 4 screws. Ours here has 2 screws right in the front. Then you can slide the internal carrier out of the case. Here you'll find the internal interface electronics and mounting points for the drive. Next, plug the SSD into the enclosure. This process will differ based on manufacturer, but typically you will mount the drive with screws on either the bottom or side of the drive. We recommend only screwing it in halfway until you're sure everything's aligned correctly, and then tighten. But not too tight, just finesse it. After this, the next step is to plug it in. Ta-da! Your very own external SSD, totally suited to your needs for a fraction of the price of a prepackaged one. What will you use your shiny new drive for? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to tune in for more DIY tips and tricks. I'm Trisha Hirschberger, and you've been watching DIY in 5. Oh, and one last tip. I know you rebels may want to throw caution to the wind and eject without safely removing hardware, but we don't recommend it.